What if AI could help you create your podcast, even if you don't like being on a microphone? Audrey Bell-Kearney joins us to share how she leverages smart tools and artificial intelligence to help clients start podcasts and build their brands through audio, even if they don't want to record episodes themselves. Listen in as we explore the AI-powered future of podcasting. Whether you're an introvert, scared of mics, or just want to save time creating shows, Audrey has brilliant advice to help make podcasting work for you with a little bit of help from AI friends. Hello, incurable creators. I'm excited to bring you some bonus episodes featuring exclusive interviews from the 2023 PodUp Virtual Podcasting Summit. Each Thursday for months, you're going to hear interviews from a diverse range of podcasting and marketing experts. My hope is these repurposed interviews will inspire you with new ideas and insights to take your podcast to the next level. And of course, remember to listen every Tuesday for our regular episodes of Podcasting Secrets as well. Now, let's dive into today's bonus interview from PodUp's 2013 Podcasting Summit. Hello, I'm Nathan Gwilliam, the CEO of PodUp and your host for the Podcasting Summit. In this interview, I'm joined by Audrey Bell-Kearney. Thank you for joining us today, Audrey.
Thank you for having me.
So Audrey is the founder and president of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce, where she works to help empower women as they embark on their journey of entrepreneurship. She's also the CEO of Noise Media, where she helps people to harness the power of AI. She's also the author of 2 books. The first is You Got Something to Say? The Simple Roadmap for Starting Your Own Podcast. Your Story Matters. The second is The AI Advantage, Fueling Small Business Growth by Leveraging Smart Tools and Artificial Intelligence. Audrey, will you go ahead and just share with us your journey? You're almost to 1,000 podcast episodes published. Just tell us your story of podcasting and then transforming into this AI expert.
I've been podcasting a very long time, since about 2008, 2009, before podcast was a huge industry. I remember being on Blog Talk Radio. I think if you say that now, most people don't even know what Blog Talk Radio is, but it was like at that time pretty much one of the only platforms that you can actually be on. And so I started out on that platform. One of my good friends and I, her name is Georgette Taylor, and we had a show called Business Over Breakfast. And we would get on every Tuesday morning at 9:00 where we interview authors, because I've been an author since 1998. We wrote our first book in 98. I'm dating myself right now, but I've been an author since 1998. And we used to interview a bunch of authors. Back then, to be on a platform like Blog Talk and, be able to put people on there and they can actually tell their stories after they had written a book was a great thing. Now you can do that pretty much instantly, just go online and do it yourself. But so we started back in around 2008, 2009. Stayed on that platform for a very long time, did about 215 episodes there, but podcasting still hadn't kicked off yet. It was still in its infancy. Nobody knew what it was really. If you said a podcast, people didn't know what the heck we were talking about, but we were doing it and I loved it. And I loved it so much that I kept it going. And then I realized, okay, Audrey, you can't make it. You're not making any money from this thing. It's just a hobby right now. You got to make some money. You got a kid to take care of. You got to make some money. So I binged it for a while, binged podcasting for a while, went into television, had a show called Sister Ig, went into traditional radio, and just stayed in the media space. I've been in media about 21 years and love this space and just love how it's growing and moving about. So I moved to Georgia with my husband in 2013 and decided I wanted to do something else and couldn't figure out exactly what to do. Went to a film festival and realized after going to a film festival that there were filmmakers there who had made these films and they were trying to get distribution for the films. Now, I had made a crappy film and put it on Amazon. And to this day, I think it still sells on Amazon. I was selling for like $27. And at this film festival, these people who had put a lot of money into filmmaking were trying to get distribution for their film. And now it was a distribution company there. And the company said to them, we can get you distribution, but you won't make any money for like 15 years. And I'm thinking, I know they put more work into their project than I did. I'm making at least $27 a year, at least, because that's what my film was going for on Amazon. So I left that thinking, Nathan, okay, God, I need to help them do something. And I decided at that point that I was going to launch a internet TV network, because that's what God told me, right? And I was like, how the heck am I going to do that? And as I have always done, anytime there was something for me to do, I had to figure it out. And I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to launch an internet TV and what is internet TV? And I started to talk to all my business friends, like, listen, I'm launching this internet TV thing. And they were like, we don't like be on TV, like people can see us. And I was like, yeah, you could be on TV. You got your business. Nobody was interested. It was crazy. And I was like, well, you told me to launch this thing. How am I supposed to launch it? Nobody wants to be on TV. Nobody wants to be in front of the camera. And I thought that was pretty interesting. But I was laying in bed one night and I said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. He said, talk to people who want to be on TV. And I did a casting call on a magazine called Backstage, which back then you could find it over in New York. But if you walk down the street in New York, you could pick up a Backstage. And I ran an ad in Backstage casting for this show. 300 women said yes, they wanted to be on it. We interviewed, I think, 39, and 19 we actually accepted to our network. So I launched my first internet TV company called HerTube. Now, I thought I would like HerTube better than I like podcasting because I'm figuring it's TV. It was way more work, way more headache. But I did it anyway. I launched the company in 2013, ran it for like 5 years. I was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going back to podcasting. So I went back to podcasting in 2015. And again, it still hadn't caught up to where we are right now. Went back to podcast in 2015, launched a great show called Talk Business with Audrey, thinking, okay, this is it. I'm going to do it. No money coming in. So here I am again, Nathan. No money coming in. Like, okay, Audrey, now you got to figure out how to make this work. I couldn't figure it out. So I paused again. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to be a community leader. I'm going to go into politics because I want to help the community. And went to a few meetings and decided that is not for me. Not for me at all. And in 2018, I launched Good Morning Gwinnett. So Gwinnett is the county in which I live in Georgia. So Gwinnett is the second largest county in the state of Georgia. And it's the most diverse county in the whole southeast region. So we are very diverse in the entire southeast region of the state of the United States. We have 1 million residents here in Gwinnett County. And I said, you know what, I'm going to launch a podcast called Good Morning Gwinnett. And I launched that podcast December 2018. And I've been going strong ever since. So I do 5 days a week live, which most people think I'm nuts. Like, girl, you go live 5 days a week? Yes, I do. I do live 5 days a week. So 4 days is all audio and the 5th day is video. So that's pretty much my journey. I love this space. I've been in it for a long time. I've seen it go from a baby to now. I'm still seeing this at a teenager stage because even though it's been around for some time, when you look at how many video channels there are versus how many podcasts there are, we still have a very long way to go, a very long way. So, and I'm here for the long haul. So,
can you talk a little bit about AI? How'd you get into AI? Maybe give us a brief overview of what AI is and how it can be applied to podcasting.
I'm a tech head a little bit too. Like I love technology. And whenever something new happens, I go all in on it. So I looked at AI when it first came out. Well, it had been out. So the first way I got into AI was in 2000 so I launched my podcast in 2018. I think it was 2019. I created an Alexa skill for my podcast because I felt like it was 2019 because I spoke at Podfest in 20 about that thing. So I started to create podcasts for people, and then I started to create Alexa skills for them. So if you have an Alexa in your house, if you say, Alexa, open Good Morning Gwinnett, it will play the most recent episode of Good Morning Gwinnett. And so I was like, okay, I really like this technology. That was AI right then, but a lot of people don't think about it like that. If you have an iPhone and you have Siri, that's AI. Like, I don't like Siri. I like Alexa better because, Siri just pops up and talks when she wants to talk. But Alexa, you have to ask her to talk, not Siri. Siri speaks when she wants to speak. So AI is a form of learning, teaching artificial intelligence how to learn. They have machine learning, deep learning. It's all forms of AI. When you hear those terms, they all fall up under AI. So AI is kind of like the umbrella for like the deep learning, the machine learning, the large language learning. And that's what you hear a lot about right now. I'm sure everybody on the planet probably have heard of Chat GPT by now. GPT 3, 2, 4, 5. We're running right into 5, which is probably going to kick off in December. But it's a language learning model that you feed data to and you train it to learn things about everything. I find that fascinating. So I got into AI around 2019 when I built my first skill on Amazon and on Alexa. Amazon has been, a lot of these big companies, they've been playing with AI for a minute. We are just now getting into AI. So when I first did my LinkedIn profile, I had AI up there, but nobody knew what I was talking about. And this was before ChatGPT came out, because I already knew I was dealing with AI with Alexa. So that's how long I've been doing it. And for me, it is a new way of being a creative. I can't draw a straight line, Nathan, like not one. But I can go onto, Mid Journey and create the most amazing artwork. It's that type of a platform. So that's, to me, that's what AI is. And it is the future. And the future is now.
Audrey, can you give me some specific examples of how AI can enhance the podcasting experience for both creators and the listeners?
One of the things, there are so many opportunities right now as it pertains to AI. So on the listener side, there, you can curate your favorite podcasts into these platforms. Now, that being said, there's some opportunities in the podcasting space for developers to be able to create platforms. Let's say, for instance, I know that I love all AI podcasts, right? I can probably develop something, and this is $1 million idea. I want credit for it. Just give me a couple of shares. You can take AI, write some code, and create something where you can put all your podcasts in one place. So if you know that you like AI or business or marketing or mysteries or history, there's an opportunity there, right? And then as it pertains to podcasters, I can tell you what I'm doing with it. A couple of things that I'm doing. One of the things that I'm doing is helping clients who want to have a podcast, don't have the time to be behind the microphone, but know they want to build a brand. And media and audio is a great way to do that. So we have leveraged podcasting to create scripts, take those scripts, put it into a audio platform, create the audio for that, and then put it on the podcast platforms. It's amazing. So that's one way we're doing it. The other way that we're doing it, you could do it, is like, for me, I spoke at PodFest in 2020. And there was a guy that he was talking about podcast networks. I fell in love with that idea of having a podcast network. And I was like, I'm going to launch a podcast network, which I did. And, but again, it was relying on people to put out good content on a consistent basis, which is a problem. Well, with the advent of AI, it's me and my team. Like, listen, let's figure out what podcast we want to come up with. Let's create some episodes in AI. You can train the voices. You can use your own voice. That's another good thing. If you know that you are a podcaster and you don't want to podcast every day, you can actually train the AI on your voice and let it create your voice. And then you can go back and create podcast episodes and have them scheduled to go out. Cut down on the workload a lot. If you say, no way, on Sundays, I'm just going to create 4 shows. So now my shows for the month are done and it's going to sound exactly like me. That's what we are. So you can multiply yourself. It's kind of like network marketing. In network marketing, they tell you, you want to be in a business model where you can multiply yourself. Well, AI is one of the best ways to do that for you because of the technology. You can train your voice on AI and they got great softwares out there to do that right now. So you can do more podcast episodes if you want to. You can create a network if you want to. You can go into other genres if you want to. You can start to build your network of just you. I met a guy, he had a network. He had 27 shows, Nathan. He did all of them, and they were all on insurance. And I said, what in the world could you be talking about having 27 shows all on insurance? And this was before AI, this version of AI came out. It was just him doing all these shows. I was like, what in the world? But he had a network with 27 shows. I couldn't imagine what he was talking about in the insurance space. And I'm a licensed agent. I couldn't even imagine what that was about. But now you can look at this technology and say, you know what? I want to have more AIs. I want to have more podcasts on my network. I want to talk about other things, but I don't feel like talking. I talk so much in general till my throat hurts sometimes. So I know I want a network, but I don't want to do all the talking.
I have never heard of somebody doing an AI network before. Are those effective? Are there some examples of successful AI podcast networks that have been created and worked really well?
It's pretty new, right? It's pretty new. There are a couple that have started a podcast that's AI only, but no networks yet. For me, mine is going to be a hybrid because I have members on my network, like shows, and then I'm going to have a hybrid of AI shows. So on my network, there is one AI show right now. That is the one that we produce, and it's for a tax accountant. and she loves it. It sounds amazing. You can't even tell the difference. Like, you have to listen really closely to tell that you can hear the AI just a little bit in the voice of the person. But if you're not listening to that closely, you can't really tell. But this is where we're going. I'm thinking about doing a children's AI podcast network, because you can create any kind of story you want. You can use Chat GPT or Bard or Copilot or whatever to create these great scripts, and then take that content and put in an audio version. All little kids right now, they're walking around with iPhones. My granddaughter is 4 years old. She has an iPhone. She drives us crazy. We have to tell her, stop calling people. But there's a podcast player built right into the iPhone. So, we can start to train them. You can do language learning with podcast episodes. It's so much you can do. The platform right now is so wide open, and there's so many opportunities. So sometimes it keeps me up at night, because I am a junkie for all of this stuff. And it's just opportunities all around me. And I'm the type of person that I'm going to learn how to do it, which I've done that. And I'm going to use it, and I'm going to talk about it. So, it's just a lot of opportunities. I have a new podcast that I just launched, and it was funny because I'm so much a behind the scene person. But for me to be out there talking about, I got a podcast called Audrey AI. That's the name of the podcast, and the newsletter, Audrey AI. It's only because I really love this space, and I really want people to get comfortable using it, especially women, because when it comes to tech, we are extremely fearful of tech. I don't know why, but we are. And I want people to see how simple it is for me to put out content, and how simple these platforms are for people to just start using them. I was just on a conference before we got on here, and there was a poll that they were doing inside of the conference, and it said, how comfortable are you with AI? And it's thousands of people watching this virtually, and the poll was crazy. It was like, I put very comfortable, right? But I was like one of only, like, I think 19% of the audience. I was like, what in the world? So people aren't that comfortable still. They think that AI is here to take their job, their lives, make them slaves, all kinds of stuff.
Or they're concerned about the quality, or they're concerned about not being able to engage or connect with users. Do you think you could do an AI-powered podcast? And I believe the answer to this is yes, but let's talk about this for a second. Do you think you could do an AI-powered podcast network with your voice that still was of sufficient quality and had great engagement with your listeners?
I do. And I think it all depends on the value of the content, right? Because the software the AI software that are out there right now, they're amazing. Like, I played episode for someone and they didn't even know it was AI. They was like, that's not a person. It's not a person. So you got these really cool platforms that can do it. I still think the voice cloning is a little bit behind, like, right now, because I did clone my voice. I didn't like the way it sounded because, one, I talk fast, and it tried to talk fast like me. And I was like, is that how I sound when I'm talking? So I wasn't happy with my voice, but I've heard voices like Joe Rogan's voice is amazing. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of any of the voice cloning that they've done of him, but they did a episode with him talking to Steve Jobs. And it was all voice cloned. Steve's voice was cloned, and so was Joe's. It was crazy, and it sounded like they were having this conversation. I saw a film the other day, and it was President Biden talking about this war that was happening. It was a 4-minute film. It was so clear. It was nuts. It was scary, though, because you talk about deep fake. Oh, that was really scary. That was really scary. It sounded just like him.
The ramifications to use that for evil are horrific. You hear about people using that to scam grandparents, and where you get relatives that are asking for money and things like that. Okay, so how can we use AI to recommend relevant content to listeners within a podcast network?
There are these tools out right now that you can actually get the code written for. Like, you can go to ChatGPT and say, write me a code for a podcast referral software, and it will write the code for you. You just have to find the platform that you want to put it on. So let's say, for instance, you write that code and you go to something like GitHub and you drop it into GitHub, or you find a website that allows you to put in HTML or CSS or something like that, custom code, and you drop it in there. You can do that. And the good thing about that is, once the code is written, even if you're not a coder at all, if you know how to put in the correct prompts, you can put in the correct prompts for that, and it will write the code, and you have to just take it and put it in a custom HTML player or custom code. That could be something that can become a whole nother stream of income for somebody, because you can say, you know what, either it's a free thing or it's a monthly thing or it's a quarterly thing. It's whatever you want, or, get the first 3 for free. It's a freemium. It's just so many opportunities with that. So that's one thing. I believe that Apple is now building on top of its platform. And, Apple is always doing stuff in private before they let it out. But I believe that it's building stuff on top of its platform right now to help us navigate the space of podcasting when it comes to AI. And I think that's going to be amazing. I think that's going to be amazing as well. So, there are opportunities for you to create new things. There's an opportunity I was looking at something recently at the chamber. A group of the women had gotten together to form a investment group. And we were looking at some different softwares and things like that. And so we have in the chamber, there are a bunch of insurance agents, a bunch of real estate agents, and a bunch of coaches, right? And we were like, well, we need to figure out how to put all the coaches on one platform. We were looking at something like that. And in that platform, you could actually refer out via that platform based on AI and how it's automated. So you can set up all kinds of systems without even knowing how to code. So it's just a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, in our software, in our PodUp software, you can start with a video or audio or a transcript, and it will take the audio and video and create the transcript for you. And then you can take either of those 3 and it'll write your blog post for you. There's so many ways that it can make the job of a podcaster a lot easier. What are some of the challenges and ethical considerations with AI in the podcasting realm? And how do we navigate those?
I think for me, when I look at quality of the voices that are coming out, you can hardly tell them apart from like the real person. So I think that's a problem too. I did an article recently where it talked about Drake and I forgot the other artist's name. Well, there was a ghostwriter. The writer name was Ghostwriter. He had written a song, and they said the song was really good, but he submitted the song to the Grammys, and the Grammys said it was acceptable, but it has Drake's voice, and Drake didn't approve. There was Drake and another rapper. He didn't approve it. So when you think about the ethical side, like you could just clone anybody's voice, and if you don't have money, to fight them, what does that leave you? So Drake has money to fight him. So, I mean, if he doesn't approve on what just happened, I'm sure that's going to get taken down. But the Grammys has already said yes, it's a yes for them. So when you think about it that way, I feel like that part right there is a little bit scary, because the AI can really clone people's voice and make them say whatever they want them to say. I remember probably about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I have an attorney friend, and she wanted a podcast. And at that time, the script had just came out. And I wrote to the script like, hey, I would love to, I have a client that needs a podcast. She doesn't have time to do it. She's an attorney. She wants me to do it. And they were like, absolutely not. We're not going to let you do that, because that's unethical. Well, fast forward 2 years later, 3 years later, you got about 4 or 5 different platforms out there. All you got to do is pay $9.99 and clone somebody's voice. And that's it. So I feel like the ethical side is people taking the technology and using it for wrong, like especially when it comes to voice. Because if I have 1,000 episodes out there in the world, you can pretty much go out there and train your AI on my voice, and it's gonna probably sound just like me because I talk so much on a regular basis. If you just go and pull up me, you're gonna probably get a lot of my voice and how I say things and how I talk, my diction and all that kind of stuff. It'll be real easy to take that and say that Audrey said it. And so unless I put some passwords out there, some keywords that people, like some codes that, if I don't say this, it's not me. Because I feel like that's where we're going. Like, in order for you to know that this is me, I need to have some kind of code that only you know, so you would know it's me. I feel like that's what we're going to get to.
It feels like that happens with every kind of media technology that's ever happened. Telephones, they're scammers, right? Internet, they're scammers. And this is just one more new way that scammers can use to take advantage of people.
I think the thing about this one, though, is way smarter, and it gets smarter every day. I think that's the difference. Like, with the telephone, you had to actually pick the phone up and call. With this, all you got to do is put out some content online, and it spreads like wildfire. So I think that's why this one, to me, is way more dangerous because it's in partnership with the internet. It's in partnership with social media, and it can move much faster. And because the technology gets smarter and smarter every day, it's I like it, but it's also scary. Like I would be not honest if I say it doesn't scare me just a little bit, because it does.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that podcasters make in relation to AI, and how can we avoid those?
I don't think there's a lot right now, because I don't think a lot of them are embracing it just yet. Remember, we're still only around about 5.5 million podcasters, right? Versus if you look at YouTube, there's like 1 billion channels. So I don't think we're making that whole lot of mistakes right now. I think that with what I'm doing, I would say that I've been testing all these different softwares. So I'm like, spending a lot of money trying to find the best one for this and the best one for that. And I found the best one for voice. I think that the opportunities are there, but I think when you go back to podcasting in general, the biggest thing we can do, whether it's AI or just you, is be consistent. Like, you can't think that because, it's AI, you don't have to be consistent, because you do. Because the minute you decide that you don't want to do a show this day and your audience is expecting you to come on Wednesday at 8 o'clock and you don't show up, that could be a problem. So, if you're going to use AI, you still got to be consistent. You still need to make sure that the show comes out every Wednesday at 8 o'clock on the dot, because your listeners are people that follow you. And if you don't show up, they're going to know that, this person is not serious. So I don't think that there's a lot right now, because I don't think that there are a lot of podcasters using it. I think that's going to change in the future. The more we talk about it, the more they see the possibilities. As it pertains to other business owners, I still feel like they, who are not podcasting, they still don't see podcasting as a viable way to market and grow a brand, that blows my mind. Like, I can't even understand why that is, but I feel like they don't see it, and I don't think a lot of them ever will. I talk about podcasting a lot, and I'll talk to business owners, and I'm building a brand. And I say, do you have a podcast? Like, no. Do you have a YouTube channel? No. How are you building a brand? I got an Instagram page. That's it. That's all you got. So I still think there's a lot of room for growth in that space. I still think that podcasters have to remember that if they're doing this as a business, they have to treat it as such. Like, this is my business. I spend a lot of time podcasting 4 days a week on audio, 1 day a week on video. I just added another show to my network that comes on Saturday, but I'm not the host of that one, because I love the space and I know that it is a real viable way to, grow what I'm doing is a media empire. That's my goal.
Okay, you talked about the future a little bit of podcasting and AI. Where do you see the future of podcasting and AI going? What emerging trends or technologies do you see on the horizon?
I think that it's going to allow more people to get into podcasting, especially those who are introverts and they don't like the way their voice sound. I talk fast. I know I talk fast, but I love podcasting. But for those who are introverts, they don't like the way their voice sound. They don't have the time. They want to be creative, but they don't know how. I think the fact that we have Chat GPT and, all of these other platforms. I used Claude 2 the other day, which is by Anthropic. I love it. I was like, okay, I like Claude 2. It's a little bit better than Chat GPT to me. I think it's going to open up the floodgates of more opportunities for people to be creative, even for the ones who aren't creative. But I think that's going to flood out our space, our podcasting space, just a little bit. Now, there's room for everybody, but I think we're going to see more and more and more podcasts come out. Same thing, though. Even though we see them come out, will the quality be good? Well, if you spend the money, yes. But if you don't spend the money, you're going to have crap. I was looking at someone who was talking about doing video the other day using some of the software, like they got InVideo and some other softwares they're using. And they were saying that those are good softwares, but not good for YouTube channels because it's pretty like blah. Same thing with podcasting. We can put out content, but if there's no action within the podcast, and it's it sounds like the AI is reading a script, and you want to really grow something from that, like it's a business, it's not like a part of your business, it is your business, that's going to be a problem. And I could tell you that because with my client, she just wanted to have a footprint in podcasting. She didn't want to talk. When you talk, you get to be animated, all these things. Like when I do Good Morning with Nat, I'm animated, right? I do music, I do the horoscopes, I have a good time. When I do hers, it sounds like the AI is reading a script. It sounds great, but there's no life in it. It doesn't sound lively and upbeat, so there's no emotion in it. It sounds like someone's reading a script. but it sounds decent. So for her to just have a footprint, it works for her. But for me, that part wouldn't work for me. Now, my children's channel, I don't know about that. I got to figure that part out.
Yeah, I don't think decent is good enough with podcasting anymore. There's too many podcasts to choose from. I think people on average listen to 8 podcasts a week, or they have 8 podcasts they listen to. And I think if you're just good or you're decent or you're acceptable, it's probably not going to cut it. They're probably going to go somewhere else. So for AI to work, we've got to figure out how to create something amazing with AI. And I think we could do that. There's a lot of ways AI can help us get there. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom with us today. If our audience enjoyed what they heard from you and they want to learn more about you and your products and services, what are the best ways for them to do that?
I can be reached at noisemedia.us. That's my website. And if you are in the Georgia area and you're a woman in business, go to GwinnettWomen'sChamber.com. You can find out more information there as well.
And if you are listening to this show or watching this interview and you have not yet checked out the special VIP bonuses that are available, please click on the link below and you can get access to a free 7-day How to Start a Podcast Challenge. You can get access to a special session about monetizing a podcast and several other cool things. Thank you again for joining us, and we wish you success as you leverage AI in your podcast. Here are my key takeaways from this episode. Number 1, Audrey has been podcasting since 2008, before it became a huge industry. She has almost 1,000 episodes published across multiple shows. Number 2, in 2019, Audrey got into AI by creating Alexa skills for podcasts. AI tools can help create scripts, voice clones, and automate parts of the podcast production process. Number 3, AI-powered tools open up podcasting to more introverts and people scared of microphones. This technology makes it easier to start shows, even if you don't want to talk. Number 4, consistency and quality still rule in podcasting. AI can help generate more content, but shows need to come out on a regular schedule, and all AI content should be reviewed and revised by a human. Number 5, Audrey sees opportunities for developers to build AI-powered podcast recommendation engines, matching listeners to relevant shows. Number 6, AI does raise ethical concerns around voice cloning and impersonation that the industry will need to grapple with. Watermarking voices may be necessary. And finally, number 7, AI has huge potential to democratize podcast creativity, reduce production barriers, and help more people multiply their voices online. But the human touch is still very important. If you want to simplify your podcasting journey, I recommend you check out PodUp. It's an all-in-one podcasting platform with more than 35 integrated modules to help you create, grow, and monetize your business around a podcast. I recommend you go to podup.com to get your free trial. Thanks for joining us for this episode. I wish you success as you leverage AI tools to help you produce your podcast.